So today we're looking at a review of some of the core concepts that you will need to demonstrate your skill in when it comes to Wednesday. So this is a request, and we're going to look at some corrections and also what I'm now calling the RAW practice. RAW stands for read, analyze, and write. So on your learning check on Wednesday, you will see sections like this. So this is called section 1 on this worksheet. It'll be section 2 on Wednesday. Always make sure that when you are approaching your work, you read carefully the instructions. So read the sentences carefully with your study cards that focus on common corrections close at hand. Identify the common corrections, develop a strategy to fix them, and revise the sentence so that it is polished for submission. So you can see there are three examples here. I'm going to fix the first one. I'll leave the other two for classwork on Tuesday. Okay, so first I flip through my study card deck and I get out my study cards that are connected to common corrections. When you're doing the corrections section, you should have those cards ready. So even prepping for the exam the night before, like tomorrow night on Tuesday in the evening, you should get your sentence cards ready in one pile. You should have your correction cards ready on another pile, your literary device cards on a third pile, because we kind of know what the sections will be. So you can do that pre-work to be prepared. Okay, so let's read. The Avengers were forced to fight the space gods to save their planet. Semicolon, however, since Spider-Man, comma, was super agile, he flew the glove away from Thanos. So you can see from the indicator here that it's showing there are 3 errors to fix, and the boxes are set up that match that. Now, just a note, sometimes I copy and paste things, so you'll notice there are 2 errors to fix in the second one, but there are 3 columns for correction. So I'm just expecting you guys to, be switched on and realize, okay, there's only 2 indicated here, so I'll only have to use these first 2 columns. That's just something you need to watch for on the day of the learning check. Okay, so the Avengers were forced to fight the space gods to save their planet. However, there's something wrong there already. You can see that even Word, the software, is telling me. Then I've got since. Okay, interesting. So that's interesting. I've never seen that before. What kind of word is this? Ah, that's right. It's a subordinate conjunction. Okay, so what formula is that again? So then I could flip through my sentence cards and I would find that the 2 formulas connected to subordinate conjunctions are, if you said or thought complex A and complex B, you would be right. And now noticing that this is coming after what kind of looks like our academic linking tool, we might consider that this is a new start of a new idea. And so if a new idea is starting with a subordinate conjunction, then that lets me know that I'm kind of dealing with or looking at something that would be familiar to a complex A structure. Okay, so we're starting to see what we might need to do here. Okay, so first, correction 1, I would put in 0.25, and then I would say academic sentence error. And then, so I've done the first bit, I've identified what I think is wrong. Now I need to talk about how to fix it. So Matthew always says you need all 3 to be good with me. So here we notice that we don't have all 3 pieces of that transitional tool of the academic linking tool, right? So the writer will need to revise this transition to include all 3 parts of the academic linking tool. So I've given my strategy. Second correction, so I might even be more specific. We can add a comma after however. And so now I've got a strategy to fix that first mistake, right? Second error, we've got since, and then we do have a comma. We do know the comma needs to go somewhere, but that doesn't look right. That doesn't feel right to me. And so here's something to remind yourself that there are almost no cases, unless we're using a removable phrase, where you can actually put a comma between the subject noun and the verb, that those two pieces need to be uninterrupted. They're really closely linked to each other. One is the agent, the individual or thing that is driving the sentence, if you want to call it that way, and the other is the verb, which is the action being done, right? So we don't want a separation there unless we're using a removable phrase. And we can see that that's not the case here. So our second error would be, we could say subject, noun, and verb interrupted. And we haven't learned that error yet, but one of the things you want to know about the comma and correction codes is that we bring them and build them as new errors come to light. So it's not like the list we've got right now is a comprehensive list of every possible mistake. The mistakes that we see in sentences are up to the writer. So when we learn a new type of error, we need to look at what it is and then think about it, and then we build our correction codes to come up with that fixing strategy, right? So here our strategy would be, yeah, this one looks pretty simple. We will need to remove the comma to stop or to prevent the separation of subject, noun, and main verb. You can see as I'm typing quick that I make little errors, but I go back and correct them. So then this last problem comes all the way back to our subordinate conjunction since. When a subordinate conjunction is starting a new idea, it's almost time to do the revision, as my alarm is clearly indicating for me. So let's push on. So that there we go. We're pretty good on number 2. And number 3, we know that when since starts a new idea, that we will need to have a comma before the second clause begins. So what we're doing is we're looking for the second subject noun. So since Spider-Man was agile, he, there it is. That's our second subject noun. So we've got a complex A error here. So we would go back and we would say, oh yeah, complex A error. Okay. We know that when a subordinate conjunction starts a sentence or idea, we need a comma to connect C2. Okay, wonderful. So we will need to place that comma correctly. So you can see that it's not a bad idea to have your study cards ready. I heard a student on the homework check 2 said, oh, I just copy and paste the original in, which I thought, hey, that's pretty clever because I normally retype the whole thing. And now we can just do those fixes. So fix 1, that academic sentence error, and we decided that the fix is going to be to add the comma after however. So we go down, boom, first error fixed. You can see right away words like, yeah, that looks better to me, right? Second correction, so we need to remove the comma to prevent the separation of subject, noun, and main verb. So we go back down here, pull that out of there, perfect. And finally, to fix this complex A, we need to place the comma, that comma correctly. Good. And so we'll do that here. We put it before he. Okay, perfect. So we have fixed we've made all of our revisions, and the sentence looks great. So I'm just going to be a keener and highlight this in yellow to show my work is done. Perfect. I'm happy with that. Everything looks great. You would receive full points on the test, if you were doing this one like this, you'd end up getting 3 out of 3 because you identified everything correctly, you came up with strategies to fix the problems, and then you made the revisions correctly. Half the points come for the identification and discussion of the errors, and half the points come for the proper product coming out of your revisions. Okay, wonderful. So that's the first half of these support videos that's looking at how to approach corrections. So we'll leave the last two for classwork.